where did you develop that from, that ability to see beyond, to think deeper, to reflect deeper? Where did that come from?
Well, I had to do that because, I growing up in Italy, when I first moved over there, it was, I didn't speak Italian. I didn't have any friends. I had the game of basketball, and through sport and playing soccer, I was able to make friends and build connections. But it was a lot of time spent alone. And when I came back to the States, I wasn't the most athletic kid. I was really scrawny, like really, really skinny, and had like major knee issues because I was growing. So I was the dorky kid with high socks and big old knee pads.
It's fashionable now.
It's fashionable now. It wasn't then. And so I had to look long term, because in the here and now, I couldn't compete with these kids. I mean, there was kids that were like 12 years old with beards. Like, I can't. What am I supposed to do with that? Like, they're doing windmills and dunking backwards, and I'm happy to like tap the backboard, So I had to look at it from a long term, because I wasn't going to give up on the game.
Right.
So I had to say, okay, this year I'm going to get better at that. Next year, this, and then so forth and so on. And then patiently, I was able to catch them.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because I think so many of us you believe, like when you see people like yourself, it's like, it's so easy as an excuse to ourselves to just be, oh, you're destined for it, right? You were made for it. It's kind of like that kind of, oh yes, but when you talk about saying, oh, actually, when I started, I didn't have the physicality that meant that I was going to make it. Like, you had to figure it out, and I love it.
Figure it out, man. It's just piece by piece, and it's the consistency of the work, and so like the consistency of work, Monday, get better. Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better, right? And you do that over a period of time, not like 1 month or 2 months. I mean, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And then you can get to where you want to go.
Yeah, I think it was Bill Gates who was talking about that. He talks about how like we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and underestimate what we can do in 10 years.
No doubt.
Right? Like, it's like that,
No doubt. Obsessiveness just comes from something that you love. Like, you really love it. You'll go through fire for it. You'll go through the ups and downs with it, and you'll just keep at it because you love it so much, Because you've talked about this before, where your father said to you, like, whether you score 0 or 60, like, I love you. Yeah.
Tell me what that statement meant to you at that time, and how did it actually motivate you to continue scoring 60 rather than go, oh, I'm all right at 0?
Well, it did more than that, right? So, like, the basketball stuff speaks for itself in terms of what that comment did for me, in terms of giving me stability and giving me confidence to say, okay, it's okay to fail because you're going to be loved no matter what. And that doesn't just mean basketball. That means anything in life. That means writing. That means being an entrepreneur. That means having the confidence to go for it. It's about the metaphor that sports has for life. I mean, sports is the greatest metaphor we have in terms of dealing with life. Because, even if you listen to music will give you guidance, right? That you can then meditate on and think about how you would apply it. In sports, you have to apply it in the here and now. I mean, you're faced with challenges moment to moment. You're faced with pressures and anxiety and communication or the lack thereof and all this other stuff. Like, it's in the moment. So you have to live it. And when you practice those things, you become better at it. Yeah, Oprah told me this when I first decided to build the studio, and I was asking how Harpo came to be. And she said, well, when she was doing her deal for the Oprah Winfrey Show, she was re-upping her deal. And actually, the first contract she made, she said, well, don't pay me up front. Just I want to own a percentage of the show. And so they gave it to her. Now, at the time, there weren't any black women hosting the daytime talk show, right? So it was really new. And she said, Kobe, if they believed that the show was going to be successful, they wouldn't have given me that. Yeah. They wouldn't have. In their mind, they're thinking, oh, we got to steal. We don't have to pay her. We can take this money and move it over here. This is great. It's going to be a flop or be successful. I don't know. At least we get diversity on TV. It's fine. And all of a sudden it's, uh-oh, we're in trouble.
We shouldn't have given it away. Yeah.
Opened up Pandora's box, right? So now you come back for the next deal and it's like, you gotta have to give me some more ownership. Yeah. And like, dang it, here. And then ultimately she, came to owning 100% of her show.
Yeah.
And so people think it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You gotta like obsess over it for a while and then it kind of pops loose.
Absolutely. Yeah. You had to plant the seed well before to see the fruit.
Yeah. And you gotta water it all the time, man. Like, you gotta sit down and watch other shows that are out there and like, and then ultimately you just find, like when the answer comes to you, it's like, my God, I could have thought of that on the first day. remember John Williams told me that. He'll sit for like 2 months to try to figure out what the melody is.
Yeah.
And he'll just be playing. He'll be at his piano all day. He'll say the only day he'll take off is Sunday because his wife forces him to take Sundays off. And he'll just be sitting there writing. And then it just comes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I seriously could have thought of that on the first day. Like, why? It's just so simple.
Absolutely. How have you been able to, in your life, see past the cloud of emotion to actually execute on things? Because I think what we were speaking about earlier, this challenge that young people have today, everyone has today, of just so much information, so much cloud of emotion, so many feelings, so much childhood baggage that you're bringing. Like, how have you always cut through that and execute on that?
You know, what I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go. Emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all. And then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. You know, a lot of times I've seen players, even myself, you know, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear. And to the point where you're saying, okay, nah, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in this situation. Like, nah. And it does nothing but grow. Versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about this situation. Yeah, I am fearful about this situation. But what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination running its course. You know, it's not really a thing. Yeah. You know, like you think about game-winning shots or game-winning free throws, and people go to the free throw line and they're nervous about it. Well, what are you really nervous about? If you unpack that, okay, you're nervous that you're going to miss the shot. All right, so you missed the shot, then what happens? People are going to be embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed because thousands of people, millions of people see you miss the shot. All right, and then what? People are going to talk bad about you. Okay, right? And so you're looking at it and you go, are those things even important? You know what I mean? If that is my fear, like what is, you worried about letting your teammates down? Okay, have you let them down before? Well, I'm sure, in practice and things of that nature, right? They're still there,
yeah.
You know? And so when you're able to unpack it, you kind of look at it for what it is, which is really nothing.
Yeah, I love that, breaking it down. I think that's so important. I think everyone who's listening and watching right now, next time you're facing a fear, next time you're going against something, do that. Like literally unpack it. Don't just settle for your first answer, because the first answer is rarely the right one.
Don't hide from it. You know, you got to be able to look at it and, you know, and deal with it head on.
Yeah, I love that, man. And you talk about that because you talk about, you know, when you talk about missing 5 throws and you talk about getting over yourself. Yeah. Right? Like getting over yourself. How did you get that mentality of just being like, I need to get over this. Like, I need to get over myself.
You know, trial and error. You know, you grow up and you make game-winning shots and it's awesome. You come back the next day and miss a game-winning shot and it's misery. And then the next day comes and you're back playing again. And you understand that life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday is fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday. Yeah. So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? You know, versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution every day. It's just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out with the inner challenges, the kind of the self-negotiation that takes place inside of our own heads. You're out running on a track, working out, and you start talking to yourself saying, man, my knee is really sore right now. Maybe I'm doing too much.
Sounds like me.
Maybe I need to back off, you know. Man, my lungs are burning. Maybe I can just slow down here. I'll do like an extra 2 sets tomorrow. You know, it'll be okay. Yeah. Right? That sort of stuff.
Yes.
Like that stuff's dangerous.
Yes.
And that's when you just got to say, you know what? I'm not negotiating with myself.
Yeah.
The deal was already made. The deal was made when I set out at the beginning of the summer and said, this is the training plan I'm doing. I signed that contract with myself. I'm doing it. You know, throughout that process, you'll start talking to yourself like, man, I think I need to, maybe if we, nope. No, this is non-negotiable.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
Yeah. Like what I found is creativity a lot of time comes from structure.
I agree. I'm so glad you said
like
that.
When you have those parameters and the structure, then within that you can be creative. But like if you don't have the structure, you're just aimlessly doing stuff.
Yes.
You know, where are you going? Like when I was writing a Wizard Art series and outlining Legacy, coming in the morning, 7 a.m., and I'm there. I'm writing backstory from 7 to 12. then go pick up my kids, and then I come right back and I'm writing again. So like within that structure, my mind when I go to sleep is already like planning of what the next day is going to be, because I know, what it is I have to do. It's that consistency and structure.
How are you encouraging young people to find the right mentors, and how can they find the right mentors, even through your work? I guess your work is somewhat mentorship.
We try to be, and I think the important thing is research. In the hall here in the office, I have a hall that I call Muse Hall. We have all the portraits of some of our muses here, from J.K. Rowling to Steve Jobs and so forth and so on. And I think it's important to research them, and it's like putting fuel in the fire every day. Just constant inspiration. When you read about them, what they were able to accomplish, how they went about accomplishing it, you're just constantly feeding that flame and learning. And the best way to do that is to learn from the people who have done it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That just made me so happy. I have a gallery wall in my home. If we were recording this at my place in Hollywood, like I have a gallery wall, Steve Jobs is right there.
Yeah.
Right. And Einstein's there, and Martin Luther King's there, and there's a few other people. And for me, it's the same thing. It's like sometimes I'm sitting there and I'll be like, well, what would that person do? Like, how would they have dealt with this challenge? Right. And you're so right. I think you can be mentored by people who aren't alive.
100%, because their stories still live, which brings us to the importance of storytelling.
Yeah.
Their stories still live. These muses are here. It's important to learn from them. And if anything, it helps you remember that they are human, just like us.
Yeah.
These great things that get accomplished can be accomplished by others and beyond. Building Walt Disney Company is not something that, people look at and scoff at and go, oh, it can't be done anymore. Well, why not? Why not?
Yeah. And the more action you take, the more you think is possible.
Yeah, because you realize they're people just like us. They made mistakes just like us. And they kept going. And we can do the same.